What's going on, guys? It's Jamil, the Arab Mamba here, and today's video is going to be a movie review. Reviewing movies is something that I've been doing for years. It's something that I really enjoy, so I thought, well, why not bring it to the channel? Today's movie is Moonlight. Moonlight is a movie that I watched for the first time the other day, and I thought it was absolutely incredible. The reason I watched the movie is because I looked up online the top movies of the decade. And some companies had Moonlight ranked as number one, but pretty much every single company on the first page of the Google search had Moonlight in their top 10. So I think it was the general consensus amongst all of these companies that Moonlight is the best movie of the decade. Well, what do I think? Do I think that Moonlight was the best movie of the decade? And to answer that question, yes, absolutely. Now, I have many forms of criteria on how I judge a movie, so we'll just go right down that list right now. The cinematography. The cinematography in this movie was amazing. I mean, they start off the movie with the swirling camera scene, the way they were able to contrast the outward light with what was happening in the movie. I mean, everything about the cinematography was perfect. In fact, in my opinion, it was the best cinematography I have ever seen from a movie. The acting. Mahershala Ali had the best performance by a supporting actor I have ever seen. His pausing, his emotions, his ability to play the character of a drug dealer who also has that soft side to him, a person who understands what it's like running the streets. Also, an incredibly notable actor was the second Chiron, the teenage Chiron. His name is Ashton Sanders, was impeccable. He was able to perfectly play what you would imagine Chiron would be like if Chiron existed. He was able to show all of his emotions, his anger, his frustration, his sadness, while also concealing them. It was a beautiful dynamic, and he gave everything you can ask for, especially in an actor as young as himself. However, I was kind of disappointed in the third Chiron, but I really don't think that was his fault as a person, as an actor. I think that has to do more with the plot and the storytelling, and how they wrote the third Chiron's progression. Now we move on to the plot. The plot was very unique. Plot was about the struggle of this kid named Chiron who was black and he was gay, and his mother was a drug addict who didn't really care about him much. And he was also being bullied at school. I mean, he just had the world going against him. Generally speaking, that's a very stereotypical plot. But when you break down the struggles and how unique they were, and even in the setting of it being in Miami, you don't really see any of those, serious types of movies that are placed in Miami as well. And I think just all of that together really made the plot unique. The storytelling, the way they showed the specific portions of Chiron's life to piece it together into one movie without having to use a narrator was awesome. The character progression. The first two parts of the movie had excellent, and I mean amazing character progression. But the third part of the movie really disappointed me, and I'll get to that at the end of the video when I speak about the ending of the movie. Next, we have the themes. The themes of being outdoors, the themes of being black in America, the themes of being a part of the LGBT community in America, the themes of drug dealing, issues at home with an absent father and a mother who was present but also kind of absent in Chiron's life. All that stuff was made loud and clear throughout the movie. It stayed very consistent the entire time. And last but not least, we have the ending of the movie. To me personally, I was kind of disappointed because the whole point of watching a movie that has revolved specifically around one person and about his life is that you expect a proper progression, especially in a person as unique of a situation as Chiron was. You'd expect them to at least solve some of the biggest personal crises. There was only one thing that the movie did satisfy, and that is Chiron's physical progression. Not only did he grow older, but he grew physically. He worked out so that nobody can mess with him anymore. But in terms of his socioeconomic status, you kind of were rooting for Chiron to not fall into the system of drug dealing and this cycle of making dirty money. You kind of hope that Chiron would grow himself up to be this person who is grown, making clean money and living a happy life. But that didn't happen. In terms of his socioeconomic status, it didn't happen. In terms of his personal status, that especially did not happen. he didn't seem like he accepted who he was the entire movie. And I feel like at the very least, in a movie like this, it's imperative that you show the character accepting who they are. It almost felt like the entire movie, the only person who really accepted who Chiron was Kevin. Because in the third part of the movie, Chiron didn't really talk much, and it kind of made me very, very frustrated. Also, the absence of his words the entire movie was a theme, so you kind of expected him to break out of his shell even a little, and that made me very, very angry. Once the movie ended, and I calmed down, and I reflected on the movie, I realized that this movie is not just supposed to be a regular movie. It is not supposed to be a cookie-cutter movie with a beginning and an end and a middle and blah, 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 and I know I said that part out of order. It is supposed to be a poem, a piece of art, and that's exactly what it was. So let's break down the questions that I always ask myself. Is this movie a must-watch? Yes, absolutely. This was, again, in my opinion, the movie of the decade. I feel like everyone should see this piece of art. What movies can I compare it to? I mean, in the only sense that I can compare it to a movie is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and that it didn't have a proper structure to the movie. So in a very, and I mean in an extremely loose sense, I can somewhat compare it. The basic fundamental structures of the movie are just unorthodox. But even then, I still think I can't really compare it to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So maybe Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but generally speaking, no, I can't really compare it to another movie. It was just so unique. Last but not least, what was my rating? Drum roll, please. 6.6 out of 7. I rate movies out of 7. I rated this movie 6.6 out of 7 because it had the best cinematography, some of the best acting I've ever seen. The plot was very unique. The character progression was pretty good. The only nitpick I have that didn't give it a perfect score was it didn't have the ending I liked because I'm so used to the cookie cutter movies. But there you have it. That was my reaction to Moonlight. Is Moonlight the movie of the decade? Absolutely. That's all I have for you guys today. If you liked the video, leave a like. Let me know what you guys agree with or disagree with down in the comment section below. Feel free to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. That's all I have for today. Peace.